Hello, y'all. Welcome to ToutSuite. That's at ToutSocial or ToutSuite.com. We are featuring Crocker and Starr today. We've got Pam and Nick here next to me. We want to say thank you to 55 Degrees. I'm going to start with a few introductions. Here we have Pam Starr, different than Ringo Starr. Not that different, but she'll tell you all about that.
Star.
Yeah, either way, rock star.
Ringo
no doubt.
rock star. There you go.
And we got Nick here from Carpe Diem, correct?
Correct.
Wonderful restaurant and local wine bar. And you're going to be learning a little bit about Crocker and Starr wines today. Pam's going to be the one to tell you mostly about that. I'm going to be staying out of the way and reminding you to log in. We see we already have a few of you coming in. Happy to answer your questions. We got people coming from behind and through the doors. So it's going to be a toot social kind of evening. So tell us, what are we drinking?
We are going to drink the Crocker and Starr portfolio tonight. We are starting with the Sauvignon Blanc in 2012. This is a wine that I created. I wanted to capture Napa style. A lot of Sauvignon Blanc producers wanted to mimic Chardonnay, cover up Sauvignon Blanc with oak, or take it to another country. And I was determined to bring Napa style to the world. And what we do best is sunshine. So we do ripe fruit here. This is translated in a very pure fashion. I just make juice and stick it into stainless steel barrels and let it translate itself. It doesn't get an acid addition. It's very difficult to capture ripe Sauvignon Blanc without making manipulations, but I try to keep this as a very pure form of Sauvignon Blanc.
It's tasty and refreshing. I'm into it. What do you think? And tell us what you do, man.
I manage a bar down at Carpe Diem Wine Bar and part of the wine buying team and beer and all kind of things alcohol related as far as Carpe Diem goes. But as far as Crocker and Starr wines go, especially the Sauvignon Blanc, beautiful wine. Well done, Pam. Good job. Yeah, it's a fantastic Sauvignon Blanc. Like she said, it's crisp. It's got that great acid to it. But beautiful oak notes and minimalistic oak use, but it gives it a little bit more mouthfeel, a little bit more palate. I love it. I think it's a great wine, great food pairing wine.
It's fantastic. No, I'm into it too. There we go. Let's set this over here. Gentlemen, ladies, if you're interested in having a little.
No, we got
they already have some. All right.
So a little sidebar
Yes.
about Nick. We met because I had an intern last year, and Nick and the entire Carpe Diem crew came out and did pruning for Crocker and Starr. I thought I was going to give a seminar, but what I realized is that Nick had all of this pruning experience. So meanwhile, I've got people trying not to cut their fingers off, and Nick is about 10 vines down, already pruning some of the Malbec. So when we met and met the chef and owners, we started talking about wine and food pairings, and the Sauvignon Blanc was a really, great pairing for what goes on there.
Nice. So free work. That's free work. That's excellent. No, if you can get free labor, take it. And now a little bit of history about Crocker and Starr. I understand you've been making wine since 1870.
Yes, 1870. I look good for 150 years of work.
That's what wine does.
It only feels like that during the
It's magic, that stuff. That wine is magic.
150 years. Well, it's actually 30. This is my 30th harvest.
Cheers.
Thank you. Yeah, here's to my 30th birthday. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys. Yay. Woo-hoo. Watch out. 30. Can I drink this on the show? Is that okay? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I've been.
I know I'm about ready for a refill. So no, but truthfully, the building's been there since 1870. Is that correct? And you've been making wine for 30 years. So
if you hand that brochure to me, right, the one with the fuzzy picture on the front.
Fuzzy picture in the front.
So Ian, this is a picture. It's a modeled picture because we're not really allowed to take pictures of the estate. So if we hold this up far enough where Susan can take a picture of it, this is actually an 1870s brandy house on the property. Maybe one more shot of that would be good for.
There we go.
Is that working for you? So this property was a winery in the 1870s. It was called James Dowdell and Sons. There's a picture in the Napa Wine Library of the family winery. The old stone winery still is in existence. My business partner, Charlie Crocker, who I'm going to introduce you to him now. He's not here. This is not Charlie. That's Nick. So this is Charlie, right? Okay, Ian, let me help you out here.
You're going to have to find him for me.
Camera with it. There he is. So just hold that right there. That's Charlie. He bought the property in 1971. Thought he was going to have a wonderful family retreat away from San Francisco, and the reason that he picked this property in St. Helena is that the fog cleared first of all places in the Napa Valley. Fortunately, it has some of the best soils in St. Helena. It comes from the lower slopes in the Mayacamas, so I had lots of material to work with when I got there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's fantastic. And when did you first get to the Napa Valley?
I got up to Napa about 8 years ago, roughly. Yeah, came up here from Fresno, of all places, to pursue winemaking and all things wine related. And a couple years later, get to run into Pam, and things kind of go from there. We'll see what happens.
Well, should we take a look at the next wine?
Okay, I'm ready. Ready. Bye. I'm so sorry to let you go.
I know, such a sad thing to do.
Sad. I'll be back.
So for your 30th year of winemaking, is there any new style that you're going to try for your Dirty 30 wine?
God, I love you. The Dirty 30 wine. Can I use that?
Absolutely.
I'm using Dirty 30 wine. In fact, I wish I had a picture of it. I bought 2 cement eggs. And I've been wanting cement eggs for years, and I swore that I would not purchase these eggs until I had built my own winery. Well, we're in the process of trying to build our own winery. We're like full well into the permit process, but I couldn't wait any longer. So I got 2 eggs, and they're perking away. They're totally adorable. Egg 1 and egg 2. And they're Sauvignon Blanc. Right now, it's just bubbling inside this cement egg. And I think it will lead me to discover what I can do with just that element by itself, or maybe, and I have a couple other things perking as well. I have these cigar barrels that Didier Dagueneau, who was a friend of mine, bought from the Francois Frere people. They're very elongated barrels there, where a barrel would be like, a regular barrel would be this long, a cigar barrel would be about this long. And it extends how much lees contact the actual fermentation has. So I'm going to play with some of these elements for my Dirty 30.
Great question.
Are barrels same 225 or?
No, they're not. You can jump up if you want.
Come on
to.
over.
Come on over.
There's way too much good looking over here. We got to balance it out.
Yeah, you all cleaned up after harvest. I hear you had a big mess on your shirt earlier.
Well, when you're doing punch downs, you'll get a little messy.
Yeah.
No, but so they're not 225 liters. They're bigger.
They're bigger. They're about 3. I'm not going to translate liters fast, but they're almost 300 liters.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're a wonderful size, and they express a completely different element of Sauvignon Blanc.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So that's Dirty 30.
And then you have to plan on 30 wonderful.
Oh, I'm keeping you.
It never ends.
30 wonderful.
All right, well, what should we go to next?
I think that we should stick with the primary Crocker Starr, the triangle of wines that I created when I started the company, and that would be the Cab Franc and then the Cabernet Sauvignon, and then I'll show you my wacky Casali wine that I both planted and designed just for our Casali membership.
Cool.
So this is a pre-release, 2011 Cabernet Franc. Last year, 2010, was extremely small. I had about 200 cases. It all went to my club. I'm very fortunate to be able to. Would you like to pour some? That'd be great.
I could. We've got these poor empty glasses.
Okay, while I'm talking. So I'm showing this Cabernet Franc 2011 because it's showing really well as a pre-release. And it's 100% Cabernet Franc, and it will be released in February. And in 2011, of course, we had challenges with the growing season, and I think that you'll find this is a really wonderful and ripe rendition of Cab Franc. Big, juicy, raspberry, blueberry, the cinnamon stick spices right up front, the little baby red hots, tobacco. It's very juicy. It has elegance about it, but there's some good power and good stuffing in it.
Absolutely. Definitely get some of that tobacco in there. But very smooth, especially for a 2011. Wow. And so you were mentioning earlier that there's some relation between Cab Franc and Sauvignon Blanc. Do you want to share that?
There's mom and dad. I don't know if you can get a picture of the two of them together, but those who in the world of plant science have determined that Cabernet Franc and Sauvignon Blanc crossed and created Cabernet Sauvignon. So the Cabernet Sauvignon is the child of mom and dad over here. And I think mom is Franc and dad is Sauvignon Blanc, actually. So, don't ask me why. Maybe I'll use that for 30 Wonderful.
There you go. What would you pair this with? I guess you're working at a restaurant right now. I don't know. Who's better to say?
I mean, what would I pair off my menu?
Potentially. Something from Carpe Diem?
Something from Carpe. I mean, first right off the bat, ostrich burger is easily a pairing with this wine. Being big, you get all that good fat and debris from the mixing with that ostrich burger. It's absolutely fantastic. Then easily things like the pig and the fig flatbread. I'd really enjoy that with this, or even, of course, a little quack and cheese. Nothing is bad with duck confit, macaroni and cheese. So.
What about the new dish, the tamales, which I begged Scott to
the
put on?
empanadas?
Empanadas, that's what it was.
The empanadas that we had on that we actually
I
did
begged
for
Scott to keep empanadas on the list.
And
we did them for Pam's release party for the Sauvignon Blanc, and we had them on. I think we had 3 different versions of the empanadas before they actually went way of the dodo for now.
That's
but the
so
menu is
sad.
an ever-changing,
So
it's an
disrespectful.
ever-changing evolution of a menu. I mean, I have people coming into the bar all the time asking about where is this item that they saw online or in this magazine, and things change. It's the season. It's not always going to be the same menu. So we'll bring something back for you, I'm sure.
Okay, good.
I'm not buying it.
We can't say no to
You're
her.
not
Yeah,
buying
I
it?
feel like you should feel terrible.
We can't say no to her.
No, the empanadas will be back. I'm sure of it. I'm positive
Says
of it.
Pam Starr.
Yeah. So,
What do you guys think over there?
Yeah.
Sean, you want to come over and tell us what you think of the wine?
Oh, this thing is fabulous. I have to walk over here.
You do,
get
you
close
do.
to you guys. This is delicious, and it's so young and so bright, and it's for something as young, it's so bright out of the bottle. You just kind of go, wait, what? Like, you just bottled this? This is beautiful.
I did.
And it's got such bright intensity with it, but it's not overwhelming at all. You know, for something so young, sometimes you're scared that you might be overwhelmed, but it just kind of, gives you a nice little massage. And you go,
It is,
okay,
it's
we can be
subtle.
friends now.
Yeah,
It is
it's subtle.
really.
So often in Napa Valley, we find wines that are released Cab Francs, and it's just so big. It's great to sell or great to save, but you can't drink it right away. And I think that this, you really can. I'm sure that this you could probably save this for a while as well, but it's drinking really well right now.
Nothing
too.
better having both. You know, it's like a
Sure.
double down. You get to open it, enjoy it now, and save it for later. So eat some now, save some for later. Good and plenty. That stuck with me, I think, and the whole good and plenty candy.
Oh, and it's great because within the valley, Cabernet Franc has become kind of a rite of passage. You can almost start to tell who lives here by their obsessions with Cabernet Franc. It's one of those things where a lot of great producers start making Cabernet Franc on the side, and it's going out to wine clubs, like you said, or going out to allocation only lists. But all of us who live here and are constantly drinking so much Cabernet Sauvignon or Chardonnay, whenever we see Cabernet Franc, we're like, what?
Yep.
Can we get that? Right here? Yeah.
But so few people really do it well. A lot of people are doing it, but I have to say, of all the wines in Napa, it's the one that most frequently I'm disappointed with, and here we're definitely not. So
Thank
good
you.
on you, right?
No, it's very good.
So I embarked on a mission to translate 2 extremely difficult grape varieties. Sauvignon Blanc is the least loyal grape variety out there. And it's not loyal because there is a plethora of styles, a plethora of flavor profiles. I've been making Sauvignon Blanc since 1984, and I have to say that there's a huge ebb and flow. The consumer base is disloyal because they're afraid of the flavor profile they're going to get. So it comes in and out of fashion. And I have been loyal to this grape variety and loyal to producing it in the fashion of ripeness. Margarita mix is sort of my go-to profile. Same with the Cab Franc. Cab Franc, somebody asked me what I thought about wines from France and Cab Franc from Napa, Cab Franc, so Bordeaux and the Loire. And I said it's sort of a little bit like Goldilocks. The wines from the Loire are too cold, so they're a little brittle. And the wines in Bordeaux are too blended. So Franc isn't really up front and center. Mm-hmm. But the wines of Napa are not blended, they're just right. They really are Franc. Right. It brings you forth on the palate, the raspberry finish. This is a little bit more of an elegant vintage, 2011, because it was a rainy, cold season, and for this to become ripe, and I didn't hear one of you say anything about green, and which I'm not known for anything about green in this wine. People come to me because they're like, I know your Cab Franc, I know it's consistently, it all comes from the same block. These are 17 to 22-year-old vines. We farm everything organically. It affects how these grapes ripen.
And so what about wood? We got this guy over here's got some wood.
Yeah, this is actually a really...
Yeah, it had to be said.
Susan, can you show us?
Yeah.
These are little wood pieces. Slow down, guys. That's
Right.
it. I've been in the cellar a long time.
Right.
We can got lots of time for that wood comment.
Well, it has to be mentioned. I know it's your favorite question. The difference, between female and male winemakers. I think that the consensus is that men are better at this, but
Thank God, men are better at everything. Men are the most powerful entity in the universe.
Right,
That's
yes.
why they're the most powerful people in the world. That's why they lead the country.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh my God, that's why they're leading the country.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's science. You can't argue with science, but but really,
Government might shut down tomorrow because
Yeah.
they're running it.
Yeah. Actually, women are leaving the country. We're going to all be in the periphery. No one's going to be working. We're just going to sit back and watch the whole thing happen.
But truthfully, she was a pioneer. 30 years ago, there were not many women making wine, and those who did, So how is? Would you like to speak to that at all?
It's my least favorite question. What's it like to be a woman winemaker? I'm like, okay, what's my first response? Well, I don't know what it's like to be a man in the business. So there was no changeover at any point in my life. So I really don't know what that's about. So what I can tell you is being a chick in a farming world in the 80s was really interesting. I didn't speak farmer. I didn't speak boy. I didn't know how to speak cellar talk. I learned that pretty quickly. Yeah. I didn't know what was going on. I know it now.
You know it now.
Yeah, and I didn't know what was going on when the farmers were kicking tires. I'm like, so they're kicking their farming equipment tires. What does that mean exactly? So I was very fortunate to actually start this business early, and the whole world upside down in the late 80s, early 90s when the first wine group, 100% Winery, went publicly stock owned. And I was working for that company. So it was a really exciting time that we became a real business entity and world changed.
Wow.
So I was one of the very few females in the wine cellar. Most of the ladies that left school and went into wine business were in the laboratory or they do a little research. Oh no, I was kicking it with the guys, pulling hoses, being hazed. It was very fun. But so the life hasn't changed much. I think men and women are, when I talk to women in other businesses, bankers, CEOs, executives, it's the same thing. We all have our language, we all have our struggles, and it's not any different. I think that women chefs and male chefs, they have a different palate and bring it. We need diversity. We shouldn't just say, oh, this is made by a chick, although you should drink my ones because they're great, right. But not because I have female parts.
Right, at all. I thought you broached this. She pointed to you when she said female chef. Is there something, maybe you can speak to both sides.
I'm not the female chef in the equation.
All right, maybe just for today. Sorry.
Carpy has a husband and wife team.
A husband and wife team, yeah.
Yeah.
Scott Kendall's our executive chef and one of the owners, and Stephanie Kendall's his wife, obviously runs front of the house. But Stephanie has a very big role with chef. When they test out new menu items, Stephanie's there with Scott trying out, things and how they live together. So she tries a lot of the creations along the way that he works on at home. So it's a really neat dynamic in the restaurant. But I don't know. I can't speak to being a female chef.
Yeah. Well, that's too bad. I think we were all looking forward to that.
One of the things I really get out of this wine is I get a lot of cocoa powder and some minerality in the finish. When I was going through that,
I'm going for cocoa powder.
That made me think of what to pair it with. I was really venison was screaming out. Venison cooked in grapeseed oil with a couple pieces of coffee beans in there. So it's gonna flavor.
You can do that with fish.
Yeah.
I don't cook,
yeah.
but
it's a great way to cook fish. It's a great way to cook chicken, and actually, there's less fat is absorbed into the protein if you cook it in oil than if you just sear it off. But
you can do the coconut nibs. You crunch them up and you make the outer crusties. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's my technical term for cooking. The outer crusties, you crunch them up. So, yeah. Sorry, Nick, I'm disappointing you at this point. I know.
I'm very excited. I love the terminology that you come up, not just for wine, which is very, very entertaining. If you could spend 24 hours with Pam and listen to her just go throughout a day talking about wine in the cellar, wine in the tasting room, you'll hear more terminology that you've never heard of before in your entire life because it's all just Pam creating words, basically. There needs to be a Pam Starr dictionary.
Do you have an example?
Yes, right now.
I bet he doesn't have an example.
Yes, you have to do it now.
Go ahead, give me an
Put
example.
me on the spot like this.
I know, I hate that.
Tell them.
Do
now.
it. Like the shaky.
Yeah, see, that's what I was
There
trying to
we
think of
go.
the terminology
Shaky.
for some of the equipment in the winery and things like that. The shaky is obviously the shaker table.
And what goes with
table.
ARG?
Well, the ARG is all about punch downs. It's about getting piratey on that. you got to get into it. Get your peg leg, get your patch eye, and that's how you do punch downs.
Wow, nice. Got to.
It's all about computer
Mm-hmm. And using the core, make sure you use your core.
Right, your core. Well, that's the problem with Sean over here. Yeah.
You weren't engaging the core, Sean.
Didn't engage the core because he had this whole
You were
chest
bending at
full
the
of
back.
wine. Yeah.
You're bending at the back, Sean.
Engaging the core.
Yeah.
Bending at the back. You got to stay upright.
He had the
It's all
buttocks
here.
fully engaged, but the core was really kind of soft. All right, well, now we learn. We live, we learn.
It's only the beginning of art.
A lot of time to practice, Sean.
The punchy.
The punchy.
Punchy.
And you're like a pirate, you're looking for treasures, so you're making extract. So you better be looking for the color.
We have guests logging in on camera.
Do we welcome? All right, the Reinert's there. You should see these two play tennis. It's amazing. I hope it's not John and Stacey. If not, then you two should play tennis too. Well, why don't we move on to the next wine? Are you guys ready for that?
Let's do the Cabernet Sauvignon next.
All right. This one here.
Nope.
No. See,
Big dog.
I don't read well. I
That's
don't
okay.
read good. Excuse me. I feel bad. All right. Well, ladies first.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, we're not doing the female chef thing anymore. I thought we were still doing the female chef thing.
Ladies first.
Awesome.
I thought the female chef. No, all right.
Here, let me help you with
Again,
that.
easily.
I can play the part. Whatever.
Easily confused by
Perfect.
the translation of thought two words.
Thank you. The 2010 Cabernet Sauvignon. These are 35-year-old Cabernet vines. They sit and grow right next to the Cab Franc on the property.
We're dancing.
We're dancing. Do a little scoot boot with the bottle.
Scoot boot. See?
Scoot boot
All
with
right,
the-
they're
with the
coming out
bottle.
naturally
It's
now.
the scoot boot bottle move.
Yep. Chugga.
Chugga. That's right. It's the happy wine dance. So 2010 Cabernet. These are 35-year-old vines. It's 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. And this has been a really great learning experience working with older plants. They taught me a lot about how they grow. They're an ugly trellis system, so they're not gold posts. They're double wide, but the plants being as old as they are, they set exactly the correct number of clusters. They grow exactly a meter length. They're a pencil thickness on the shoot. So all of those are things that attract winemakers to plants. When plants behave all by themselves, they don't have to be forced into submission. Yeah, there's no dominatrix going on with these plants. They're completely fine by themselves.
Nice.
So this wine was just released. It's about a 580 case production, and it's almost gone because we sent it out to our Casali membership and our mailing list. So I've got about 75 cases left.
Wow. So 580 cases. Is there an average that a Napa Valley winery makes? That seems like it's pretty limited production.
Crocker Starr is pretty limited. I started with 100 cases of Cab Franc in my 97 vintage, and I'm now at 2,500 cases between three wines. I have Sauvignon Blanc is my biggest wine at about 1,500 cases.
Wow.
And it's $34 a bottle. The Cabernet is 110. The Cab Franc is 72. So for a small winery, my prices are extremely reasonable.
Right.
And because Charlie and I committed to redeveloping his property and creating these wines together, we were able to come to the table, the price point table, at a reasonable level. It's hard to do that in this valley. People paying $10,000 a ton,
Right.
$8,000 a ton. It doesn't translate financially.
Right.
And the cost, one of my cement eggs cost me $5,000.
Wow.
And it holds 3 barrels worth of wine. So there's not a lot of return financially. That was all artistic. That was all, I got to have an egg. It's all my dirty 30 stuff.
It's gotta be.
Gotta have an egg.
So excited about the egg.
How long will one of those eggs last?
They are lifetime eggs. They will change with time, depending on what wine I put in them and whether I use them for just maturation or if I use them for fermentation. but they're lifetime, as long as they don't get picked up and broken.
And if they mate,
Don't
do you get
break my
baby
egg.
Is there a
There is no
potential
mating
for
here.
no mating with the eggs?
They're not male or female. They're
Really?
androids. Yeah, they're
androids.
hermaphrodites. I'm sorry, they're
I
not
didn't
androids.
realize that androids
Those are
couldn't be
robotic
male or
eggs.
female. This is a learning experience for me. I assumed they were all female.
No,
Okay.
they're not. No, eggs
So
are.
does the Cocoa Puff have anything to say about the flavors in the wine?
Now, just a quick question. This is also from that same estate up in St. Helena.
Yes, it is.
I think what Justin pointed out with the cocoa powder, it's got to be something about the terroir because it's coming through with this wine as well, and it's just got to be something in the soil. It's center of the valley, south end of St. Helena, right?
It's south end of St. Helena, but it's not really center of valley because St. Helena is the pinch, and so our soils come from the lower slopes of the Micomas mountain range.
Right.
So our soils are typically called the Pleasanton series. If you guys want to get into soil talk, we can go dirty. But we don't have to do that. This is extremely well-drained soils, and yes, a lot of the minerals come from the soil. It's very rocky. It has a bit of sand and a decent amount of loam and clay. It's got great water-holding potential, but it's excellent drainage, and I rarely have to water it. I rarely use water. So these are, I think the wine right now is showing, it's very humid here. And for me, this wine isn't showing as well as the other two. I think it's a little bit backwards. It actually has a much more plush quality to it. It has a dark black plum. There's a blackberry quality that usually comes out of it, and definitely black chocolate. So I think that with the humidity, we're not used to humidity. It's crazy weather here right now. I'm actually feel like I'm in Florida. My hands are sweating.
Has nothing to do with the fact that you're on camera right now.
I like the little camera. I think the camera with the red light
humidity.
is really cute. I'm fine with it. But I think that also this is a root day. If you guys want to go dirty with biodynamics, I looked it up before I got here, and I think Sauvignon Blanc and all the wines don't show as forward and juicy as they typically do. Weather affects how you guys open. When you open a bottle of wine, you guys make sure you know what the weather's like, because you need to maximize your drinking experience. With any wine, you shouldn't just open it because it's hot day. Make sure your wine's cold temperature. Make sure you pay homage to the fact if it's Sauvignon Blanc or Cabernet Franc. Get the wines out of the light. Drink in the shade. And then when it's dark and gloomy outside, make sure you light a fire and try to dry out your environment inside, because humidity does affect wine.
Right. Either way, drink quickly and copiously.
Well,
it doesn't affect the amount. Just because it's hot doesn't mean you shouldn't drink a lot of Sauvignon
Only when
Blanc.
it's humid, you need to drink fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And try and just get a little bit of water involved.
Just a little bit of water involved. Well, there is water in wine, don't forget.
That's right. We're hydrating as we speak.
The oak profile, you guys want to comment on that? It's very toasty. Right. It's showing very forward. Comment? Is there a chicken clucking?
See, I told you your eggs were going to mate. I heard that.
Oh my God, I heard it. What's going on in there?
Hello. We've been commandeered. Is that John and Stacy?
Yeah. I can't see you guys though.
Where are you?
We're in invisible mode.
Oh my God, they're trapped in the box.
Well, we're listening.
They're listening. Yeah, so have to break into it. So you touched on this really briefly in terms of sustainability. I know that not using water is obviously good for the planet, but there are a lot of other techniques that you employ. You want to speak to that a little bit?
I think sustainability is sort of the higher form of organics. There's a lot of PR and marketing out now with organics, sustainability, biodynamics. For me, sustainability means I'm reusing my materials and putting them back where they belong, and I'm not importing a bunch of outside materials. So planting cover crops and being able to mow them down and keep weeds back, that's part of sustainability. When we do prunings, we mulch the prunings and we make pathways in the garden. So I think everything goes into the pot. So when we actually build a winery on the property, which I hope we do. Hey, look, there's a human.
Hey,
hi.
Look at that.
Hi.
Hi. Don't mean to interrupt.
How are you?
Great. How are you?
Good.
So I don't know if y'all can see this. We've got John and Stacy in the nude. Oh, you can? Good. Then you know that they're not. But it would have been funny if they were. Where are you joining us from?
We are at home, so we're actually in Castro Valley, and we just had dinner and joined as soon as we could. So happy to be here.
Nice. Well, welcome.
Have any questions?
Yeah, hopefully you prepared some questions.
Actually, I will have some, but first I'm going to listen to you finish since we came in a little late. But yes.
All right.
Okay, well, you missed the Sauvignon Blanc, you missed the Cabernet Franc, and those two are mom and dad of the Cabernet Sauvignon. So we're into the Cabernet Sauvignon right now, and we're talking about 35-year-old vines and sustainability. And so far, the team here has decided that the plants suck up the soil at the estate. So we've got some rocks and some graphite and some cocoa powder going on with our descriptions from the.
Along with some really ripe red fruits. I'm getting lots of red fruit, lots of deep red fruit on this, and maybe something that's been a little cooked in a good way, not cooked as in a cooked wine, but as some plums or some cherries that have been put in a pot with a little water and it steams out, and kind of getting those kinds of flavors.
Great.
And maybe a sweet chutney flavor or something.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and so what made me think of was eating actually something a little smoky with this. I was thinking tea smoked duck.
Okay, I'm going
in. And a chutney, something that has maybe there's some figs in it, and basing that out with the fat from the duck and the smoke stuff. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Stacy's hungry again already.
Yeah.
Oh, we're having more. Okay.
All right. Well, I'm
actually you're a little behind.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we should be dumping. Well, but I'm just not.
Well, it's opening up as we're sitting here. Stacy, we were talking a little bit about how humidity affects the wines. It's a very humid day. It's been a little bit of rain spinning around since Sunday, and now it's cleared out. It's sunny outside. The skies are back, and now we just need some wind to get rid of this humidity. And I think it's very important to pay attention to the environment that you're drinking wines in, and when you're going to open an expensive bottle of wine, you shouldn't probably do that in the humidity. Right. You should make sure you're in a the wine won't taste as good. It won't taste as powerful. You'll get into drama of red fruits instead of blue fruits and black fruits. It'll change up the whole profile. But my glass, while it's sitting here, is actually getting better and better and better. But because I think what it's doing is it's equalizing with its environment. So,
what do you think are optimal? What's optimal to drink wine? Clear, mild.
Age-wise?
No, I mean weather-wise.
Weather-wise, I think the humidity has to be in check, whether it's a hot day or a cold day. I think your humidity has to be in check. I've experienced, and I always feel bad for the Floridians because they have high humidity a lot. Same with the Hawaiians. There's a lot of high humidity, so they need to go into an air-conditioned environment where the humidity comes down, and the wine, it just needs to rest and sit. I think wines need to be opened in humidity more longer period of time. So I preferentially, you're going to open it in an environment where there's just moderate moisture in the air. It's not windy. You want it to be sort of modest lighting. I think that you can do that either in hot or cold temperatures.
That's good. And they're 35-year-old vines, you said?
Yeah, these are 35-year-old vines. It's an old clone called the C clone. And the C clone is pretty much the backbone of a lot of great new Cabernet producers and some really old ones, like Bacchus is 100% the C clone. I consulted for a winery called Gemstone for 5.5 years, and the backbone of that wine is the C clone. It's a very special clone, and it's actually much more red plum, black plum driven than it is sort of over the top blackberry, baked blackberry. So, and it does retain its soil characters.
Well, they can definitely get that kind of congruent flavor that is from the terroir. I mean, it's you're right. It's really present in those wines. And speaking of which, are we ready for the next wine?
Stacey, do you have a question?
I did actually. I was going to ask, do you feel that those vines are easier as far as maintenance or more difficult when they're so old?
They are so easy. As a matter of fact, before you came on, I was saying to the people that the old vines teach us a lot about what we don't know. And if we follow their growing pattern and follow what they do, we'll actually probably manage the rest of the vineyard better if we follow their lead. We rarely pull leaves. We never trim it. They grow exactly 1 meter in length. We never drop crop because they set 2 very small clusters. The cluster size on these plants are smaller. So there's a lot to be learned from plants that have been around for a while.
That's amazing. It's like the patriarch plant.
It is the patriarch plant.
Speaking of old vines, when do they expire? The seed clone, how long do they have it?
We would love it if vines didn't expire. We don't have more than a 50-year history because of blights, bugs, viruses. Viticulture is like agricultural warfare. One bug eats another bug, and then all of a sudden a virus comes along. If we could design it, maybe 75 years would be a nice lifetime. Yeah, if we get 50, I'm happy. We are 35. I'm hoping that we hang in there.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Last and certainly not least.
This is the Casali 3rd edition. I created a wine just for our club members. We're not really a club, it's more of an allocation management. We decided that people they're spammed with emails and offers, and I would get people coming back to me saying, "Gee, Pam, can I get some of that Franc or that Cabernet Sauvignon?" And I'm like, "No, it's gone, it's sold out." So what I did is I created a wine in honor of the people who joined and just want their shipment sent to them when we release the wine. And the picture on the label is after a painting that's on the ceiling of the 1870s brandy house. The brandy house is called the Casali. It's sort of a bastardized Italian version word that means party barn. And so the leader of the party is our Casali man. And so we took the Casali man and we put him on the label. This wine is not for distribution. It's simply for those people who come to visit us and our members. It's a blend of Malbec and Cabernet Sauvignon. Each wine is a different composition. The first one was 100% Malbec, which I planted all these vines on the property. The second one was 16% Petit Verdot blended into the Malbec. And this one is 55 Malbec, 45 Cabernet Sauvignon. Not the Old Vines Cabernet. I planted a new clone on the property. Actually, I planted 6 new clones on the property, and this is one of them. And it's about a 230 case production.
Nice, and it's what I'm taking to dinner. I don't know why you're laughing.
So do you drink Malbec? Stacy?
Actually, I haven't had a lot of Malbec. I usually stick to Zins, Syrahs, Cabs, so the big wines, but I don't know that I've had a lot of Malbec.
Well, Malbec translates to it means black mouth, or it means bad mouth. I think they meant more that it was black mouth. It's a very black and inky grape. In fact, there's a great book written by Laura Catena about the origins of Malbec. It comes from France. And before the French had their rootstock issue in phylloxera, about 40% of all plantings in Bordeaux was Malbec. I know, interesting factoid, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that either until I read the book. So Malbec is I call this my crazy wine. It is fluorescent in color. It has a rim of that crazy crayon in the Crayola box that is, you don't know if it's magenta, you don't know if it's purple, you don't know if it's blue. For this blend, what I did is I took this crazy wild brambleberry, huckleberry wine, and I brought it back down to center with a classic. The Cabernet Sauvignon just brings that base note back into it. So it's sort of a mushroom where the Malbec is sitting on top of the Cabernet. It's the 2010. So all the wines are obviously very young that we're tasting today, but it's crazy. And so food pairings with this mostly go into the Zinfandel Syrah, Petit Syrah producer arena because it can stand up to all the crazy sauces.
And what did you blend with the Cab that you had?
The Old Vines Cabernet is 100% Cabernet.
Nice.
You realize we now have the bottle, so we're taking it to dinner.
They think they have the bottle. It's already been removed.
And I guess you're going to Carpe for dinner, right?
Isn't everyone?
Oh, we're all going to Carpe.
Excellent. That's good punch. You know, a little more plugging wouldn't hurt. You know.
Right. Well, while we're speaking of that, you are all at ToutSuite. That's at ToutSocial on Twitter and ToutSuite.com. We are having a wonderful time with Pam Starr of Crocker Starr. We are especially thankful for sponsor 55 Degrees. Thank you very much for that. We are with Sean Quinn and his wily crew, and we've got Nick, I believe I already said, from Carpe Diem Wine Bar. And a special thank you, Pam, for coming out tonight and for sharing these fantastic wines with us.
Cheers.
Is there anything you'd like to leave our guests with?
Cheers.
Now is the time.
I'd say that if you wanted to experience some of the vineyard firsthand, we have an experience called Touch the Vines, Taste the Wines. It's a sort of an outdoor experience, so wear comfortable shoes. You can give us a call. 707-967-9111. You can visit us on the website, crockerstar.com. You can email me, pam@crockerstar.com, ask me all kinds of questions. I usually answer pretty quickly because I don't sleep. But we'd be happy to share some of the vines and the wines firsthand with any of you. Thank you, Didier and Susan for ToutSuite and Neil Odorati. Thank you for 55 Degrees. Thank you guys for coming today and tasting my wines. I totally appreciate it. And harvest is going great. We're looking at a fantastic 2013. So we're not done yet. We have another push. I'll be done in about 2 weeks. So here's to everybody working really hard in the Valley right now.
Cheers. And here's to you.
Hey, Pam.
Yes.
What are some of your favorite vintages of Crocker and Starr?
Great question. I have to say that I look back on the 97 when I first started the winery, and those wines are lovely. But as I've transitioned to vineyard, I hit 2001 for the Stone Place Cabernet. It's a beautiful, beautiful wine. I love 02, 05, 07, 8, 9, 10. It's hard to pass any of those up. It's kind of like this run. What am I drinking now? I'd say that I love how the 01 and the 03, 2001 and 2003 show. They're so youthful, but they've got a knitting of both the earth and the fruit elements to them. There's the wonderful stony quality. The minerals come through. I love the 05 Cabernet because it's big, fat, and juicy. So if you need something a little bit over the top, a little syrupy, the 2005 provide that. It definitely yields itself to that flavor profile.
And all those vintages, were they from the same vineyard?
Yeah. Crocker Starr is a 100% estate project, except for the Sauvignon Blanc. I planted half of it in a cooler climate because I couldn't do 100% from the estate. But we're located in St. Helena, just before you enter town, just before Taylor's Refresher. We're hidden in the old winemaking district. There's 3 or 4 ghost wineries right in the area, and we're one of them.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for your question, Stacy, and thank you to all the viewers. Thank you, Pam Starr. Thank you, Crocker Starr. Thank you, 55 Degrees. Here we are from ToutSuite saying cheers and have a good night.
Have a good night. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yay. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, guys.